Hello, my wonderful viewers. You are welcome again to another ICT lesson. My name is Ernest Atto Bento. Viewers, I hope you are all doing great. The last time we met, we talked about storage media and storage devices. We are still on storage devices, and today we are going to look at some terms used in ICT storage. So viewers, the lesson for today is on some terms used in ICT storage. But before we continue with the lesson, let's mark the assignment we were given the last time. Question 1. What is the difference between a storage device and a storage media? What is the difference between a storage device and a storage media? A storage device is the hardware that writes data to or reads data from a storage medium. But a storage medium, that's the singular, or media, the plural, is the physical material on which a computer keeps data, instructions, and information. So in that lesson, we said that if you have a deck at home, that deck is the storage device. The disc containing the music or the movie is the storage media. So this is the answer to this question. 2. Give 3 examples of storage devices. Give 3 examples of storage devices. So the first one, we have CD drive or DVD drive. That's the optical drive. You can also call it optical drive. So this is the device and this is the media. We have the tape drive that also uses the tape cassette, and then we have the floppy drive that also uses the floppy disk. 3. Give 3 examples of storage media. 3 examples of storage media. So the first one here is compact disc or CD. We have pen drive, and then we have memory card. So these are examples of storage media. They contain the data. Viewers, I believe you all had the answers to these questions right. Good. Now, let's continue. The last question is, why is memory card known as a solid state drive? Why is a memory card known as a solid state drive? And the answer is, memory card is called a solid state drive because it has no moving parts when in operation. It has no moving parts when in operation. These are all the answers. And as I said, I believe you all got it right. Now let's move to today's topic on some terms used in ICT storage. Every discipline has its own terms. When you go to the medical field, they have some terms that the ordinary person will not understand. The same way in ICT, we have some terms that we use when it comes to ICT storage, and this is what we are going to talk about. So today, at the end of the lesson, you will be able to explain some terms used in computer storage. You'll be able to explain some terms used in computer storage. Before we start the lesson, let's recap the lesson on storage media and storage devices before we begin this lesson, because it's a continuation. So let's recap the lesson. We said that there are 2 components of storage, secondary storage. There are 2 components of computer secondary storage, and these are storage media and then storage device or the drive. A storage medium, that's the singular, media, that's the plural, is the physical material on which a computer keeps data, instructions, and information. So if you have CDs, if you have hard disks, if you have pen drive, these are the materials that contain the data or information, and they are assessed in terms of capacity, as we said the last time. There are 3 types of physical storage media. And these are magnetic, we have optical, and we have solid state. Magnetic, optical and solid state. We looked at what magnetic storage means, and these devices or media store data in the form of tiny magnetized dots. So you know how magnets and magnetic substances operate. They attract. The like poles of the magnet repel and the unlike poles attract. So that is how these storage media works. And we looked at some examples like the hard disk, floppy disk, and then the audio tape for the magnetic. We also have the video tape, the zip disk, and then the jazz disk. So these are all examples of magnetic storage media. They contain the information or data that we have. Then we looked at optical storage, and this storage type stores data using a laser. So this is a storage type in which data is written and read with a laser. So this is the laser. This is the laser beam here. The red line is the laser beam. That helps to write or read data on or from this disk. So that is how it operates. And then we looked at some examples. We have the compact disc, that's the CD, the digital versatile disc, DVD, or you can also call it digital video disc. And we also have the Blu-ray disc. So these are all examples of optical storage media. And then we came to solid state media. These are computer storage media that stores data through electrical signals in the memory chip. So they store data using electrical signals. And one thing about them is that they have no moving parts. When a disk is operating, you see the disk moving. Tape also moves. Hard disk, there is a disk inside that moves. Floppy disk, there is a movement. But these kinds of storage media have no moving parts. And they are also called flash memory. And examples, we have the SS drive, that's the solid state drive. And this solid state drive is gradually replacing the conventional hard disk that we know. And then we also have pen drive, we have memory cards. When ICT started, we were familiar with floppy disk before the pen drive came. But today, they are out of the system. So these are examples, the solid state drive, the pen drive, and then the memory card. Now, we have refreshed our minds on what storage device and storage media are. Now, let's look at sequential or serial access. As I said from the beginning, we are looking at some terms used in ICT storage. So if you have sequential or serial access, what does it mean? Now we know the various types of storage media. So if we say a storage media has a sequential or serial access, what does it mean? When using a serial access storage media, you must start from the beginning of the file and access each record until the required record is found. So when we talk about access, I have data or information on the media. Now, I want to access the information I have on the media. And one way we can access the data on the media is what we call the sequential or serial data access. And this means that when using this type of access, you must start from the beginning of the file and access each record until the required record is found. So if the files are arranged in alphabetical order and I need file O, then it means that I have to pass through A, B, C, D, E, F until I reach O. And that is what we call serial data access for these kinds of storage media. So let's look at this example. I have a media containing 7 songs, and I want to play song 5. I want to play song 5. If I'm using a serial data access media, then what does it mean? And it means that I have to go through song 1, song 2, song 3, song 4 before I can get to song 5. I cannot jump straight to song 5. It's impossible when you are using these kinds of storage media. So when accessing serial access storage media, you must start from the beginning, that is 1, and access each record 2, 3, 4 until the required record 5 is found. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So these days we have DJs that play songs to entertain us during any event, and because of improvements in technology, they are not using this type of serial access. In the olden days when tapes were there, that is how they operated. So the cassette tapes are perfect example of serial or sequential access storage. When you take the cassette tapes, you have side A, and then you turn the back and a side B. So this is side A. So if all the tape is here, then a side A. So as the tape is playing, all the tape rips will come here. And if all the tape comes here, then you can turn it and play side B. So there is no way you can shuffle songs when you are using this kind of storage media. So I remember in the olden days when you go, the DJs, they will put a pen in between this, and then they will be rolling it like this, rotating until they get to the required song. Because if you want track 5, as we say, you have to pass through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before. This is side A. So if this tape cassette contains 8 songs, like what we have here, 8, it means that we will have 4 songs on side A and 4 songs on side B. So if I want to play song 7, it means I have to rewind all the tapes here. Then when it gets to side B also, I rewind before I get to 7. And this is what we call serial data access. You can't jump from 1. You can't jump from 1 to 4 or 5. You must pass through 1, 2, 3, 4. So viewers, if you have a tape cassette at home, check on the controls that you have whether you can shuffle songs when you are using a tape. You can't, because you have to rewind before you get to the song or the part that you want. And if a storage media has that type of data access, then we call it serial or sequential data access. So a perfect example is the cassette tapes. The next one is direct data access. Direct data access. So what is the meaning of direct data access? When using direct or random access storage media, you can access the data directly from its position. Unlike the serial, where you have to pass through all the records before you get to the required record. With this direct, you can directly go to the data you are looking for. So let's look at the same example as we saw. We want to play song 5 on this media, song 5. With the direct or random access storage media, I can move straight to song 5 without passing through 1, 2, 3, 4 before getting to 5. I can just jump straight to song 5. And if you are using that type of storage media, then we call it direct access storage media, because you can directly go to the record that you are looking for. So what are some of the examples of this direct record? We have CD, that's a compact disc. So if you put a compact disc or a DVD containing music in your player, you can shuffle songs. You can shuffle songs. It will play track 1. If you have about 20 songs, it can play track 1, go straight to track 16, come back to track 8. That type of media access are called direct access. The same applies to pen drive. If you have a song on pen drive, you can shuffle them. The same applies to memory card. You can just jump straight to the record you are looking for. Straight to the record you are looking for. So these are examples of direct data access. So when it comes to accessing data on storage media, there are two ways. Either a serial access is used or a direct access is used. And with the serial access, we gave the cassette tapes as the perfect example, because you have to pass through all the records before you can get to the required record. But when it comes to a direct access, you can jump straight. That is the reason why memory, the random access memory, is like that. That is why we call it random access, because the processor can pick any part of data from anywhere for processing without going through a series of records. Good. Now let's get to access time. Access time. When it comes to storage media, we also have what we call access time. And what's the meaning of access time? Let's take this example. Assuming I want to look for the word polite in the dictionary. Maybe we are in a classroom, the teacher points to a student to find the meaning of the word polite in a dictionary. The student will take the dictionary, go to P, and then look for the word polite. The time the student takes to find the meaning of the word polite, that is what the computer terms as access time. So if I have data on a storage media and then I'm searching for information on that storage media, the time it takes for the storage media to locate what I'm looking for is what we call access time. So viewers, access time is the amount of time it takes a storage device to locate an item on a storage medium. So the example that I gave, it will take the student some seconds or some minutes for the student to find the meaning of the word. In the same way, if you are using a computer, I insert a pen drive into my machine and then I go to the search bar and then I type some document I'm searching on. Maybe I have a lot of files on the pen drive, so I'm searching for a particular file. The time it takes for the file to be found on the pen drive is what we call access time. And viewers, the access time of all the media we talked about at the beginning of this lesson are not the same. They are not the same. The access time for magnetic, optical, and then the solid state, they are not the same. So let's look at this. In the previous lesson, we started with memory. We talked about the random access memory as the main memory of the computer system. So when it comes to access time, the amount of time it takes for information to be located on the RAM. RAM is number 1. This is the fastest. So if you look at what we have here, RAM is the fastest memory. in terms of locating information. And what do we have on the RAM? Items waiting to be interpreted and executed by the processor. As I said, the processor works at a very fast speed. If I ask somebody that 5,000 times, let's say 458, it will take some time before you can process and even bring out the answer. But take a calculator or a computer and type this and then go to equal to. The next second we have the answer. That is how fast the processor works. And as we discussed the other time, the RAM also works as fast as the processor, because the hard disk cannot speed up as the processor does. So the RAM comes between the hard disk and the processor. So when it comes to access time, the amount of time it takes the RAM to provide information or locate information on the RAM is the fastest when it comes to access time. The next are SSDs, solid state drives, and solid state drives just look like the RAM. So they are as fast as the RAM, so they come second. Then we have hard disk. So when it comes to locating information, on the time it takes to locate information on a disk, hard disk comes third. Then the fourth one, pen drives. That's the USB flash drives. We are talking about pen drives. The next one are memory cards. And the last one, we have the optical disc. That's the CD, the DVD, and the Blu-ray disc. So these are the access time for the various storage media we talked about. So the RAM, being the memory, is the fastest. Then it will come to SSD, solid state drives. Viewers, gradually solid state drives are replacing the conventional hard drives that we have. So these days, if you buy a brand new laptops, they normally contain SSDs because they are faster than hard drives. Why? Because they have no moving parts. They have no moving parts. Then the next is the hard disk. That's the third. The fourth one is the USB flash drive. That's the pen drives. Then the fifth one are memory cards. And then we have the optical disc, CD, DVD, Blu-ray. So when it comes to access time, these are the rankings. These are the rankings. And when we talk about access time, the time it takes a storage device to locate an information or data on storage medium. Good. So these are the rankings. They come, so the USB, the pen drive, the memory card, and then the optical drive. Now let's look at transfer rates. Transfer rates when it comes to storage in ICT. What is the meaning of transfer rate? Transfer rate is the speed at which data is transferred between devices. Transfer rate is the speed at which data is transferred between devices. So sometimes we can transfer data or information from the hard disk to our pen drive, or we can burn information from the hard disk to a pen drive or a CD or DVD. We can also transfer information from the hard disk to a memory card. We can even transfer from one pen drive to another pen drive, or from a memory card to a pen drive, or even from a pen drive to a hard disk. And that is what we call transfer rate. It is the speed at which data is transferred between devices. So the same way as the access rate, the RAM is the first when it comes to transfer rate, transferring information to another media. The RAM is the fastest, followed by the SSD drive, that is the solid state drives, followed by the hard disk, that's the third one. Then the fourth one is the pen drive. The fourth one is the pen drive. The fifth one, memory card, and then the sixth one, optical disc. So both the access rate and the transfer rate are the same when it comes to the rankings. So the access time, we look at the time it takes a storage device to locate information on a storage medium, and the transfer rate, how fast data moves from one media to another media. That is what we call transfer rate. And these are the rankings. The RAM comes first, the SSD comes second, hard disk third, pen drives fourth, memory card fifth, and then CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays comes sixth. Good. Now let's look at more terms. When we say writing in ICT storage, what does it mean? Writing. What does it mean? The process of recording data on a storage medium is called writing data or saving data. We are more familiar with the word saving a file. But when you are saving a file, you are writing onto a storage medium. When you start working on your PC and you haven't saved it on any storage medium, viewers, the data or information that you are working on is on the RAM. It's on the RAM. So immediately you want to make it permanent. We said that any data or information on the RAM is temporary. So if you want to make a permanent copy of the data or information on the RAM onto a storage medium, then you are going to write that on that storage medium, be it a pen drive, a memory card, or a disk. So when we say writing in ICT, it means you are writing data, or you are recording data on a storage medium, or you are saving data on a storage medium. So that is what we mean by writing. The next one is reading. Reading. What does reading mean? Reading is the process of retrieving information from a storage medium. It can be referred to as loading data or opening a file. So if I have a file on my pen drive, I go to any cafe or a secretarial place for them to print a document on it. When they are opening that file for them to have access and print, then they are reading the data on the storage medium, or they are loading the data or opening the data. So when you are reading from a storage medium, it means you are opening a file on that storage medium. So reading means you are opening a file on the storage medium. The next one we talk about is burning. Burning. Viewers, the burning doesn't mean we are going to burn a storage medium into ashes. But when you talk about burning, we are referring to optical disc. Optical disc. So burning is the process of copying information or writing information onto an optical disc. So if I have a song on my hard drive and I want to make a copy on an optical disc, then we refer to as burning. That as burning. So we burn CDs. So we have some burning softwares. We have Nero, we have Ashampoo. They are all burning programs. We use it to write information on optical disc. So viewers, we use burning, the term burning, when we are referring to writing data or information on optical discs alone. When we are putting information on a pen drive, it's not burning. Memory card is not burning. But when we talk about burning, we are referring to optical disc, CD, DVD, Blu-ray disc. So burning means putting information on an optical disc. Good. Now let's go to ripping. Ripping. What is the meaning of ripping when it comes to ICT storage? Ripping. When we talk about ripping, ripping is the process of copying information from a CD or DVD, that is optical disc. So this also pertains to optical disk. So when I'm copying information from a CD or DVD or Blu-ray, I'm ripping information from that disk. That means I'm copying information from a CD, DVD, or Blu-ray. So burning and ripping relates more to optical disk. Burning and ripping relates more to optical disk. Good. Now let's look at formatting. Formatting. When we talk about formatting, what does it mean? When it comes to ICT, we have formatting in hardware. As we said, hardware is the physical component that makes up the computer system. And when we talk about software too, we have formatting. And we are talking about formatting in hardware that pertains to storage media. Viewers, when we talk about formatting, formatting is the process of erasing all data and information on a storage media and preparing it for use. So when you are formatting, I remember I watched a movie and a guy told another guy he was fighting with that I will slap you and format your brain. That means that the guy is going to erase everything from the guy's brain just by a slap. So when you hear formatting, formatting means you are erasing all data from a storage media. And when you are formatting, you follow a process. Formatting is not like deleting, whereby you can just click and delete and the thing goes away or goes to the recycle bin. Formatting, you follow a process. You follow a process. So viewers, when you hear formatting in storage media or devices or in ICT storage, we are talking about erasing all data from a storage medium or a storage media, and then you prepare it for use. Good. The next one is backup. Backup. When it comes to storage and you hear backup, what does it mean? Backup. Backup is a duplicate of a file, program, or disk that you can use in case the original is lost, damaged, or destroyed. So if I have a backup of something, even in our everyday language, we normally use backup. Charlie, I have a backup. That means you have extra. So when we talk about backup in ICT storage, it means you have a data or information on a disk. And because that data or information is very vital or important to you, you create another copy and then keep it somewhere so that when the original is lost, damaged, or destroyed, like what you see here, sometimes you may buy a disk, put it in your bag. Before you get to the house, you find a crack inside the CD, and immediately there's crack, it will tamper with the reading of information from the disk. So that means that you have to get a new one. So if you have any data that is very important to you on a storage medium, then you have to create a backup so that when the original is lost, damaged, or destroyed, you can get your data again from the backup. We are all familiar with WhatsApp these days, and even WhatsApp, when you are programming WhatsApp on your phone, it even asks you the duration you want the backup to be, so that when you change your phone, you can get all your messages, including your media, on that new phone because there was a backup. So you can back up a day, a week, or a month or so on WhatsApp. So even backup means that you keep an extra copy of something, especially when they are very, very vital to you. So that is the meaning of backup. We create it and hide it somewhere so that in case the original is lost, damaged, or destroyed, we can get the data back. If you are using iPhone, they create the backup on iCloud so that anytime you can access them. So that is the meaning of backup. Good. So viewers, we are almost at the end of the lesson, and today we went through some terms that are used when it comes to ICT storage. We started with the sequential or serial access. That is how data is being retrieved from a storage media, and with the serial access you have to go through each record before you can get to the required record that you want. And we also talked about the direct access, where you can go straight to the record you are looking for without passing through all the records on the media. We also looked at access time. That is the time it takes a storage device to locate information or data on a storage medium. We also looked at transfer rates. That is the speed at which data or information is exchanged between media. We also looked at burning. Burning is when we copy information onto optical discs like CD, DVD, Blu-ray. We looked at ripping, copying information from an optical disc. We looked at writing, saving information on a media. We also looked at reading, that is opening a file on a storage media or medium is called reading. And then we looked at backup, that's making an extra copy. So these are some of the terms, and I believe that when you hear these terms anywhere when it comes to ICT, you also understand what it means. Good. Now viewers, as usual, before we leave, let's try to answer these questions. 1. Which of the following storage devices has the highest storing and reading speed? Storing and reading speed. You remember that we did some ranking. So which of them has the highest storing and reading speed? We have floppy disk, we have compact disk, we have pen drive. Good. The highest is pen drive. The highest is pen drive. They came fourth, and after pen drive we had memory card, and then it came to CD. Floppy disk wasn't part, but floppy disk is the lowest. Good. 2. The process of retrieving information from a storage device or media is called retrieving information from. So we have the data on the media and we are retrieving information from it. What does it mean, or what term do we use? We have reading, we have burning, we have ripping. Good. The answer is reading. So if you are retrieving or opening information from a media or device, we term it as what? Reading. 3. The process of storing information on an optical disc is called, when we are saving data or information on optical discs, that is CD, DVD, or Blu-ray, what term in ICT do we give to it? We have ripping, we have burning, we have formatting. Good. The answer is burning. So we normally use burning for optical discs when we are saving or storing information on optical discs, that is CD, DVD, or Blu-ray disc. 4. If all data of a DVD are directly accessible, this type of file access is called. If all data of a DVD are directly accessible, this type of file access is called. So we have serial access, we have direct access, we have sequential access. Good. Direct access. You can directly locate an information without passing through all the records on the DVD, and if that happens, we call it direct access. If you have to pass through all the data or information on the DVD before getting to the required record, then we term it as serial or sequential. Good. 5. The process of copying information from a CD or DVD is called. The process of copying information from a CD or DVD is called. So you have burning, you have ripping, you have writing. So when I'm copying information from a CD or DVD, what term in ICT do we give to it? Burning, ripping, writing. Great. The answer is ripping. So this ripping and burning, we normally relate it to optical disc like CD or the DVD. Good. Viewers, we have all done well. Viewers, you have all done well. Now let's try and take this assignment as usual. 1. What is the difference between serial access and direct access? What is the difference between serial access and direct access? And then 2, explain the following terms, burning and formatting. Explain the following terms, burning and formatting. I'll just give you some few minutes to put the assignment down. Welcome back, viewers. I believe you were all able to put the assignment down. Viewers, today we looked at some terms used in ICT storage. Some terms used in ICT storage. So when you hear burning in ICT, don't think we are going to burn certain things and destroy them. It's just the putting of information on an optical disc. I believe you enjoyed the lesson. And until we meet again next time for another interesting ICT lessons, this is your teacher, Ernest Atto Bento. Bye-bye.